You're watching TVC Breakfast. Now, the ruling APC is scheduled to hold its national convention to pick its 2023 presidential candidate between June the 6th and 8th. Now, in view of this, the party has released a list of chairpersons of all the 18 subcommittees to organize the national convention to elect a presidential candidate. The list is dominated by governors, excluding those running for the presidential ticket. Now, the governor of Gombe State, Mohammed Yahya, will chair the committee on budget, while the Minister of Finance, Budget and Planning, Zainab Ahmed, will chair co-chair the committee. Governor Babajide Sanwo Olu will chair the committee on finance and logistics, while Governor Dapo Abiodun of Ogun State is to chair accreditation and decoration committee. Other governors, some serving ministers, former ministers, Attorney General of the Federation, and several others all made it to the list with their assigned roles. Joining us in the studio is a House of Representatives aspirant under the APC, Ayodele Adewale. It's nice to have you join us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
Good morning.
Great.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Good morning.
All right. Now, the list for the committees are out, and just in a few days, all roads will lead to Abuja again for the National Convention of the APC. Now, talk to us. It seems like the governors, as much as they have capacity and all of that, a lot of Nigerians are, looking at it as it's like the governors, it's like the play of the governors. Most of them are the committee chair and co-chair and so on.
Well, that's the decision of the party. And the party is supreme. There will have been a lot of discussion before arriving at that spot. And it's about trust and it's about responsibility. I had an encounter with Baba Yokpadokun at some point, and I said, sir, as the chairman of local government, my hands were full and all of that. And he said, it is better to give an assignment to somebody whose hands is full, because you can be rest assured that that assignment will be carried out and all that. But if the governors had anything they feel that it would overwhelm them, they would have jettisoned it and put somebody in that capacity. But as it is now, it's very, very okay.
Well, they'll be doing a lot of horse trading too. The governors are central to this idea of getting the presidential candidate, as it were. How do you think? How can you explain how the thing works? How do they relate to each other? How do they add up to the big picture of the convention? Because you have different committees and they are working, and they just have a few hours to the conclusion of the whole matter. Where do they begin, and how does finance work with decoration? How does decoration work with logistics and so on? How do they relate to each other? Is there I know the chairman of the party will kind of be the one presiding over everything and so on, but it's very interesting to see whether it is easy for them to really get a hang of it, because you don't really get prepared for this kind of thing.
Well, I would have loved to use a very deep scientific narrative for people to understand. Someone of your depth will understand, but because of our audience, we have people of diverse understanding, so I'll make it social. It's like having a party, a wedding party. For some people, because of the magnitude of the event and the complexity of the people that you are inviting, some will take like a year to plan, right? To cut costs. Some would rather go for an event planner. That cuts costs, just give you responsibility. But to cut costs, you are going to deploy all of your people within the structure to take part in all of these things. Take, for instance, accreditation. That's the most complex and the most sensitive part of it. If you miss it, it's going to destroy the whole system. So you need somebody from within to handle that thing. And you need somebody high up, that some people will not dare look at their face or throw away whatever they are talking about. The second is security. You go pari passu with accreditation. If the place is not well secured, then your whole system is down. Then you talk about finances. You must cut costs, you must cut budget, you must tailor-fit your budget, otherwise you go into wasteful expenditure. And you having Mr. Babajide Sanwo Olu in that capacity, I think that's a square peg in a square hole. All of them have good responsibilities in their hands, so they have to make sure that they meet up with history and destiny, because that'll be a barometer for watching and seeing how they've been able to organize this kind of convention and primaries. After the June 12th primary, I've never seen such primary that will go well down in history. And we pray that Asiwaju comes out from that primary as the presidential standard bearer for the party. And all Nigerians will be very happy for that.
Right. The point there is, of course, I know you've been following that development and you're going to be at the convention. What kind of national convention are you expecting to see? Now, the Nigerians have seen the one by the PDP about a week ago, and they have a certain standard and certain perception around it regarding how open everything was and how straightforward everything was. Everything was on live TV from the beginning to the end. What kind of a convention are you expecting to see?
I'm expecting a convention of colors, differential ideas, tendencies, interests, all coming together to present one candidate that will move the party forward, that will journey Nigerians and the Nigerian state into greater heights and all that. A convention that is free of rancor and all of that, regardless of the predictions of so many naysayers that the party might break into fragments and all that. You have high caliber party leaders who are ready to put their interests on the table for a common goal and common good, and that's to take the best out of that convention. Someone who is well lettered, that understand the building blocks, understand where Nigeria is and how to take Nigeria far up, and we will get the best out of that convention.
Yeah, they say that the conventions are about schmoozing, that everything is already done. It's just like, as you said, it was like a wedding party. The bride is already dressed up, and all you see, the parades, the chandeliers, and the shining stuff around the aisle, and so on and so forth. But this is a convention with a difference, because there's a lot of rage and unexpected sense of divisiveness within the party. Do you anticipate that we may have a different kind of convention in which there might be some sort of SDP throwback, where some heavyweights expected it to go one way, some other heavyweights wanted it to go the other way, and then at the final analysis, what happens itself might have been resolved, but with a lot of bruises?
Mr. Sam, as a veteran and somebody who knows the workings of politics in the Nigerian state, you should expect what is happening now, particularly because Asiwaju is involved. Asiwaju is the man to beat, right? And since you don't have people of his capacity to defeat him, you're going to have a lot of Judases coming together to form alliances with other people. Their main aim is to try to stop him, because you know by the time he passes the Rubicon, then Nigeria is moving towards El Dorado. I don't think you should be perturbed. You're going to see something like the Just Convention that produced Chief Emiko Abiola. At the tail end of it, you're going to see realliances, you understand, in order to key in to a pro-people's candidate. And at that time, victory will be sweeter. You understand? So let's keep on. Don't lose your sleep. You understand? He who has his hand on the plow, does not look back. The major thing is we get to the end.
Well, are you sure? Are you sure? You're talking as if you know how everything is going to be choreographed. There's going to be choreographers, there are going to be puppeteers, and so on. So it may not be the same scenario. You cannot be too sure how it's going to pan out, because this is 2022. This is a Nigeria that is far more divided than it was in 1993 when Abiola emerged. It was a a society that was able to even absorb a Muslim ticket. The society was as forgiving of that. And some people are saying that maybe it is possible, maybe it is not, but it is a nation that is so divided. There is a situation where you see people who accuse the president of being one-sided, and they also accuse the vice president of being one-sided. In other words, they say that the president is more inclined towards his Fulani folks, and the vice president is more inclined towards his RCCG folks. And it is a country where there are so many discordant voices. So are you sure that this is not going to be a fresh kind of scenario that we are really heading towards?
History has a way of playing itself back. It doesn't have to be in the same pattern. But historians will look at the way it's moving on, and you can forecast what will come out at the end of the day. For me, Nigeria is not divided. The players, the political players, may be divided, but the country is not. If the country is divided, by now we'll be at the state of war. What divides the political player or players are their interests. But for Nigerians, we are resolute in making sure that we work to have the best leader that will move us forward. A leader will have a very good trajectory. When you look at their historic antecedent in governance, have they been able to create something from nothing? I think that is where we should look at. Somebody coined that word, that saying, that the country is divided. No, it's not. And the civil society, there's a way that you paint a scenario in order to get people's view into it and plug in. And I think that is what some people have borrowed, and they've used it in a very wrong perception. It's like Rwanda. If you look at the crisis of Rwanda, when it started from the radio thing, the propagandists saying that kill the cockroaches, kill the daisy, kill the... When you say kill the people, the cockroaches. And they tag some people, some nationality, as the cockroaches. So the same thing is being used here and tell you that Nigeria is divided. No. I still move around Nigeria by roads. Regardless of what is happening, you still see Nigerians being very hopeful. Do you think a nation that is divided will have a hope? It's not possible. The country is very intact, but what the people are desirous of having is a leader that will move them forward.
But if you say that the elites are divided, the elites always have followers. So you have to be very careful what the elites do, because if the elites are divided, the people behind them are divided. And then they all have foot soldiers. And that is how Boko Haram started, because some people had foot soldiers. And so when we are talking about a united people, then you must have a united elite. But so long as you have a divided elite, they are going to have followers, and you're going to have divided people. And you don't have to have a mass of followers. You just have to have very, very strong-minded, fanatical, and violent-prone followers, disruptive followers, for you to set things ablaze. Do you think that the kind of elites we have are those who can rein in their followers when it gets to the crunch time and say, well, this is what we have agreed, let us come together and let us postpone the battle to another time? Because that is what Nigeria is. We're always postponing the battle to another time.
Well, picking from your narrative, it has always been there from time. If you look at the struggle towards independence, people have different leaning. Some people believe that we were only right for self-governance, while some, the younger ones, were pushing for independence. Some never wanted it. But the most perfect thinking, took sway. They pushed on. Remember, our independence would have come before 1960. Was it 1956 or thereabout when it was first moved? Not even by Antonio Nauro and all of that, because Chief actually told me himself that the older elite were more scared of going into it. But beyond that fact, the populist thing in Nigeria right now is that we must have a credible leader, a leader with good track record, a leader that has his hands on the plow, that has his hands dirty, that have done the work before, that have moved within the minefields and all of that, to bring out very good produce and ends. That is what we are looking at. So the elites are there, but the people themselves are more resolved. If not so, do you think we can ever have an election in the Southeast, the recent election in Anambra State, with all the hula-baloos, gunmen, XYZ, XYZ, and at the end of the day, the people still stood resolute.
Yes.
And they went to the ballot. So also this will happen.
In Anambra State.
You understand? We will go to the convention with all the clouds, thick clouds and all of that, but we'll come out with a silver lining.
There'll be bruises. I like
In politics, there always be.
In PDP, there are a lot of bruises. There are a lot of bruises, which they are trying to handle. Do you think that when the bruises come, and they will, that they will not be such that the APC will be thinking about healing his bruises when he's supposed to be campaigning about winning the election?
The bruises will always be there. You always have bruises. But again, a man that is determined will move with his bruise. As you moved on, healing will set in.
All right.
Yeah, there's one quote from the ballad of Sir Andrew, who said, "I'm struck and wounded. I lay me down and rest a while, but I'll rise and fight again."
Definitely. That's the voice of a determined man.
That's the voice of a gladiator.
Yes.
Now, at the last convention of the People's Democratic Party, a lot of people, the story and the news and the reports of monies, the role of monies, and all of that, where delegates, in fact, there were memes on social media how some delegates left the convention and married more wives, some left the convention and bought more cars, some bought houses, and things like that. That's on the lighter side. But the EFCC visiting the convention sent a signal. And now we're looking at another convention of the ruling party. Nigerians are quite concerned, the role of money in the process. That is not to say that elections are not expensive. But what concerns do you have in that regard?
Well, for me, money, yes, is a wheel of progress, but money will not determine this convention. What will determine it is the structure, the alliances, and the bridges that you have built. I have seen a multi-billionaire in this country, in the Southeast, is a friend, that went with his war chest, and at the end of the day came further forth. If I tell you the state, you know the person I'm talking about, but I will say it. I've also told people that if you're going a journey of 20 years, you better start building networks along those 20 years because you're going to come back. A wise man will be planting trees and what have you. So when you are coming back, you'll be exhausted with all your supplies. Those things that you have planted will become food and survival streams for you to get back to where you're coming from. Now, if you look at all of them that have been alleged, I have not seen the money though, that have been alleged that they spent X, Y, Z, do they have structures all across? Is it just for you to stand up, I want to be president of Nigeria? You don't have friends, far-flung areas. You want to be president. You understand? Afar of Patani, you understand? Those deep areas in the forest region. Do you have boots on the ground? Or you think it's technology? Good. But somebody have to be there watching what will happen. Do you have them? So if you don't have them, go back to the drawing board and start building networks. Those networks are what will be beneficial to you, not the money you are going to throw in the wind.
But however, those networks, they don't just stand on their own. You're talking about an engine that works. You need to oil the engine for it to keep working. And one way or the other, resources are what you need to oil an engine. Not
in all cases. Okay. It's conversation. Chief MK Abiola did start his voyage in the 70s. He didn't just start in 1990 or 1989 or 87. He went, he failed, he came back, started doing businesses, discussing with people and all of that. How do you think we survived during the military era to take them out of office? Did we spend money as civil society agents? We never did. Even some of these Luciferic organizations that you have across that is causing banditry and all of that, do you think they pay their foot soldiers? They don't. It's about ideology. Ideology is built by discussion. You understand? How did the Taliban send away the Americans? It's about ideology. So the more you discuss with your foot soldiers, the more you discuss with your people, you increase your tendency base. And they are there for you. And when it's time to pull your strength, some of them will put their resources. Resources doesn't have to be in naira and kobo. Resources is about energy, it's about thought, it's about ideas, it's about the belief. So once the belief is there and the access is there, If you like, bring your billions. It becomes a nothing. I have done it before for late Alaba Olajide. You understand? She was to be chairman of a local government. We believed in her, right? She didn't have enough on the ground, enough boots on the ground. We brought students on board. We went to other politicians, raised money, brought it back to Alaba structure, funded some of our campaign and our instruments. And I benefited from that, not knowingly. You understand? Same thing for Asuwaju. When he was working with the Nadeko chieftains and all of that, he had no inclination that was going to contest. They went to bring him in. You understand? I said by Prince Olusi and all of that. Like, look at this young man that has been funding us. He has the belief, he has the idea. Why don't we push him forward? And all that. But today, look at what destiny has provided for him. And I don't see it just, he has always said that power is not savalaka. You have to wrestle for it. You have to battle for it. And nothing comes easy. You understand? That's why victory is sweeter at the end of the day.
Well, that's good to know. But I agree with you when you said that money is not the full factor. But it's just like what a playwright said about growing old. He said you can be young without money, but you can't grow old without money. That's Tennessee Williams. You still can't do it without money.
It's the will of progress, but it's not the basis for the struggle.
Well, another thing, though, is that in politics we talk about going across to strange areas. Because if you are running politics in this country, you cannot do it by just staying in your own area, especially in a country that is so diverse like Nigeria. You have to move from one ethnic group to the other, one religious base to the other. How is it that a candidate does it well and another candidate doesn't do it well?
It's about relationship. It's about you being unbiased, right? Nigeria is very, very multi-ethnic, multi-religious and all of that. And for you to coerce, bring everybody together, you must be very plain. You must be a free spirit. MK Abiola had that. He was a free spirit. Anybody could come, he respects your religion, he respects your ideology. But one thing is that he's a pro-people's person. You understand? Same thing for Asuwaju. The wife is a Christian. Asuwaju is a Muslim. In fact, Asuwaju is more of a liberal Muslim. You can't really peg religion around him, but he respects and upholds and opines on the religion. He doesn't force it on anybody. His major gain is, let's all join it together. Same thing as God. God that created us to have free will and all of that. Of course, he created all the religions and all of that. If he wanted a monolithic religion, he would have done it. So whoever that is a free spirit can carry everybody along, definitely will be accepted by all.
All right, we have to leave it here now. Thank you so much, Adele Adewale, for coming on the program.
Thank you.
We look forward, it's just a few days away. We look forward to a national convention that will go as peaceful as the previous ones. And Nigerians expect the best from it as well.
Definitely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.